Welcome back to Verbs, an academic course. Modal verbs are auxiliary verbs that cannot function as main verbs, unlike the verbs to do, to have, and to be that can work as main verbs and auxiliary verbs. Modal verbs express modality, ability, possibility, need, or other conditions. We use them for the future and for conditionals. As complementary verbs, modal verbs don't work without other verbs. This other verb always comes after the modal verb and is in its infinitive form without the to. Modal verbs are not conjugated and they don't have a specific time.
The modal verbs are can, could, may, might, will, shall, ought to, would, and must or have to. Can indicates possibility and it's one of the most common modal verbs. Some examples could be I can speak 5 languages. Bill and Tom can't help you. We can come tomorrow. The modal verb can also requests permission or asks about possibilities. For example, can I have a glass of water? Can you help me? Can we go to the party? The modal verb could indicates possibility or ability in the past. For example, Joe could speak Spanish when he was 7. I couldn't sleep last night. Could you play an instrument before? The modal verb could also indicates possibilities in the future. For example, you could pass the exam if you studied. I think it could rain later. Like can in interrogative phrases, could can request permission or ask about the possibilities, but it is more formal. For example, could you pass me the salt, please? Could you help me? Like could, may is used to indicate possibilities in the future. For example, I will bring an umbrella. It may rain later. Or, it may be better to finish this now. May can also be used to give permissions or instructions. For example, you may leave if you like. You may use your cell phone now. You may bring a friend. In interrogative sentences, the use of may is more polite than can or could. For example, may I have a glass of water? May we leave? May we talk outside? As we will see in later lessons, will is used to form the future tense. Also, the use of will means will or determination. For example, I will help you. We will learn English. They will go to a party. Will is used in question phrases to ask for information, a favor, or about options. For example, will they find a cure for cancer? Will he help me move? Will he go to Paris by car or train? Shall is used as will to form the future tense. The use of shall is much more common in the UK and is generally more polite. For example, Chris shall be happy to see you. I shall take the 3 o'clock train. You can also use shall for offers and suggestions or to ask about options or preferences. For example, shall we meet at 10 p.m.? Shall we go to the movies or a museum? Shall we order pizza?
It's important to understand that the short form for shall and will is the same. So if I say, I'll meet you at 10, it could either be, I shall meet you at 10 or I will meet you at 10.
Should indicates an obligation or recommendation. It mostly reflects an opinion about what is correct. For example, I should call my parents more often. You shouldn't work so hard. They should practice more if they want to win the game. Should is used in interrogative phrases to ask if there is an obligation or to ask for a recommendation. For example, should we leave a tip? Should I have the steak or the chicken? Where should they meet you? Ought to is a synonym for should, although it is less common, and it is also way more common in the UK. For example, she ought to quit smoking. I ought to call my parents more often. they ought to work less. Note that ought to is never used in interrogative sentences in American English. Must indicates an obligation, prohibition, or necessity. You can also use have to in affirmative sentences. For example, you must read this book, or you have to read this book. You must not drink and drive. When must we meet you? You can also use must to indicate probability or to assume something. For example, John must be sick. It must be difficult to learn a new language as an adult. It is also possible to use must for rhetorical questions. For example, must you always be late? Must she talk so much? Must it rain on my birthday? Would is used to declare a preference and to ask for something politely. For example, she would like to fly. I would like a beer, please. Would you like some coffee? When would you like to go?
Learning modal verbs is very hard, but it's also very helpful and it really increases our vocabulary. Next class, we are going to start working on the present simple.